He called me the servant in the house I built with my own 2 hands. My daughter-in-law just watched, checking her makeup in the reflection of a silver platter, then told me to apologize. They thought they had broken me. They thought Iron Tom was just a rusty collection of old bones and bad memories. They were about to find out that even old wood can burn. If you're listening to this, subscribe to the channel and let me know where you're watching from. It helps more than you know. My name is Thomas Miller, and I need to tell you how my sanctuary became my prison. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the smile on my son's face when he did it. The pain in my right hip was a living thing. It wasn't just an ache. It felt like a hot, jagged stone was grinding against the bone every time I tried to shift my weight. I was gripping the parallel bars at the St. Jude's Physiotherapy Center. My knuckles were white, drained of blood. My forehead was slick with cold sweat that stung my eyes. "Come on, Thomas," the therapist said. "Ryan, good kid. Too young to understand what it felt like to have your body betray you. Just 2 more steps," Ryan urged, his voice soft but firm. Heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. I gritted my teeth so hard I thought they might crack. I focused on the poster of a mountain on the far wall, a snowy peak. Unreachable. I was 70 years old. I was Thomas Iron Tom Miller. I had built Miller Construction from a rusted single pickup truck into a statewide empire. I had poured the concrete foundations for the city hospital where my wife died. I had raised the steel beams of the central bridge in freezing rain, shouting orders over the wind. But right now I was just an old man in a gray tracksuit, shaking with the effort of dragging my own leg forward 3 inches. My phone buzzed on the metal bench nearby. It vibrated aggressively, rattling against the steel frame. It sounded like a drill hitting a plate. I ignored it for the first buzz. I needed to focus. My leg was screaming, but it buzzed again. And again, relentless. The ringtone was specific, the one I had assigned to the house. I released the bar with one shaking hand. I reached for the phone. I swiped the screen, bringing it to my ear. "Hello?" I rasped. I was breathless from the exertion. "Where are you?" It was Brenda, my daughter-in-law. Her voice wasn't asking. It was accusing. It had that sharp, metallic edge she used when the world wasn't bending to her will. "I'm at therapy, Brenda. You know this. Tuesday and Thursday," I said. I wiped my face with a rough towel. "Well, you need to come back now," she snapped. The staffing agency fell through. 2 servers called in sick. The kitchen is a war zone. I blinked. The pain in my hip throbbed in time with my heartbeat. Thump. Thump. "Is Michael okay? Is the baby okay?" "Everyone is fine, Thomas. Stop deflecting. We have the merger dinner tonight. The investors from Omnicorp are flying in. This is the deal. The big one." She took a breath, the sound harsh over the line. "We are busy with our corporate guests, and I have piles of prep bowls and glassware that need cleaning." I went still. The noise of the gym faded away. "You want me to wash dishes?" I asked slowly. "Yes, and polish the silver. We need every hand on deck. You can sit on a stool if you have to. Just get here." I looked at my leg. It was swollen, angry. The doctor had told me specifically that stress could set my recovery back months. I had given Michael the company. I had given them the deed to the estate. I had stepped down to let them shine, to let them build their own legacy. I gave them the kingdom. Now they wanted me to sweep the floors. "Brenda," I said, my voice dropping to a low, firm register, "I am struggling through pain here. The surgeon said I need to finish this session." I said, "I'm still weak." The silence on the other end was deafening. It was the silence of a calculator processing a value and finding it 0. "If you can't be useful," she hissed, her voice dripping with venom, "then what is the point of you living in that house?" The words hit me like a physical slap. "If you're too weak to help us survive, then stay out forever. Don't bother coming back tonight." Click, the line went dead. I lowered the phone. I looked at the black screen. I saw my own reflection. Gray hair, tired eyes. "Mr. Miller?" Ryan asked, stepping closer. "Everything okay?" I put the phone in my pocket. The pain in my hip was still there, but suddenly the pain in my chest. The guilt The obligation, the fear of being a burden vanished. It was replaced by a cold, mathematical clarity. I was an architect. I knew that when a building started to groan, you didn't paint over the cracks. You checked the foundation, and my foundation was rotten. "I'm done for the day, Ryan," I said. "But you have 10 minutes. I'm done," I said. I stood up. I didn't reach for the cane immediately. I forced my weight onto the bad leg. It screamed, but I let it scream. I needed the pain. It sharpened my mind. "Call me a taxi. Take me to the Grand Hotel." I thought I was just taking a break. I didn't know I was starting a revolution. The taxi ride was a blur of gray rain and neon lights. I didn't go home. I couldn't. If I went home now, I would say things I couldn't take back. Or worse, I would obey her. I would wash the dishes. I would be the servant she wanted me to be. I checked into the hotel suite under my middle name, Arthur. I didn't want them to find me. Not yet. For the first 24 hours, I just sat in the leather chair by the window. I watched the city rain. I felt hollow. I kept waiting for Michael to call. I kept waiting for him to say, "Dad, I'm sorry. Brenda didn't mean it. Come home." But the phone stayed silent. My son, the boy I taught to fish, the boy I held when he scraped his knees. He was letting his wife treat me like hired help. That silence was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. On the second day, the sadness turned into something else. Suspicion. I opened my laptop. I had retired, yes. I had handed the title of CEO to Michael. But I had kept my seat as chairman of the board, and more importantly, I had kept my access to the master blueprint, the internal auditing software I had commissioned years ago to keep my company honest. Michael and Brenda thought I was a dinosaur who couldn't work a smartphone. They forgot that I was the one who bought the servers. I logged in, the screen flashed red, access denied, user credentials revoked. My heart hammered against my ribs. Michael had removed me. He had stripped my admin rights. He wasn't just hosting a party, he was erasing me. I took a deep breath. My hands were shaking. I tried the back door, a secondary admin account I had created for the IT director. A man named Sam who had been loyal to me for 30 years. Name Old Man River. Password, Steelbeam 727. The screen loaded. Green text flowed like a waterfall. I was in. What I saw made my stomach turn. It wasn't a merger. Omnicorp wasn't a partner. They were a liquidation firm. They bought companies, stripped their assets, fired the workforce, and sold the patents. Michael was selling Miller Construction. It was selling my life's work. And the price? It was half of what the company was worth. Pennies on the dollar. Why? I whispered to the empty room. Why sell for pennies? I dug deeper into the financials. And there it was. The company accounts were hemorrhaging money. Millions of dollars had been transferred out in the last 6 months to a shell company called M&B Holdings. Michael and Brenda. They weren't selling the company because it was failing. They were selling it because they had stolen so much cash that they needed a quick buyout to cover the hole in the books before the quarterly audit. They were criminals. My son was a criminal, but that wasn't the worst part. The transfer log showed a third signature. Someone else was helping them hide the money. I needed help. I needed someone who could move in the shadows. I called Frank. Frank was my old foreman. He was retired now, living on a fishing boat, but he was the toughest man I knew. He had eyes everywhere. "Thomas?" Frank's voice was gruff. "I heard you were in bad shape, boss." "I'm in a war, Frank, and I'm losing. I need you." Frank met me at the hotel the next morning. He looked older, grayer, but his handshake could still crush a walnut. "It's bad, Tom," Frank said, looking at the files on my screen. "If Omnicorp buys the company, they'll destroy the pension fund. 500 families will lose their retirement." "I know," I said. "We have to stop them." "We can go to the police," Frank said. "Not yet," I said. "If we go to the police now, Michael will shred the physical documents. He'll hide the money. He'll claim I'm senile and that he was just managing the funds. We need to catch them in the act." "The signing ceremony," Frank said. "When is it?" "Saturday night, at the house." "We have 4 days," Frank said. "I'll make some calls." But before we could start, my phone rang. An unknown number. I answered it. "Mr. Miller?" A woman's voice, whispering, trembling. Who is this? It's Elena. Elena Rossetti. I froze. Elena was the junior accountant at the firm. Quiet, shy, always wore oversized sweaters. And Lena, how did you get this number? I saw the login, she whispered. The Old Man River account. I knew it had to be you. Sir, you have to help me. Where are you? I'm in the file room. I'm scared. Brenda, she made me sign the transfers. She said if I didn't, she'd frame me for the theft. She said she'd ruin my life. They weren't just thieves. They were predators. Listen to me, Elena, I said. Do not sign anything else. Can you get the original files? The ones with Brenda's handwriting? I can try, she said. But there's a man here, a new security consultant. He follows me everywhere. Who is he? His name is Vinny. He's scary, Mr. Miller. He has a gun in his waistband. Vinny, that sounded like mob muscle. Brenda had brought a shark into the goldfish bowl. Stay safe, Elena. Frank is coming to get you. I hung up. Frank was already putting on his jacket. Go, I said. Get her out. She's our witness. While Frank was gone, I went to the bank to withdraw cash for our operation. The teller, a woman named Stacy I had known for years, looked uncomfortable. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Sorry, Mr. Miller, she said softly. Your son has placed a freeze on this account. He cited medical incapacity. My hands shook with rage. He had cut off my lifeline. He had declared me incompetent to steal my own money. I see, I said calmly. Thank you, Stacy. You can't withdraw anything, she said. I had to leave with nothing. I walked out of the bank, feeling naked, exposed. I had to use my hidden emergency stash, cash I had buried in a safe box in my old workshop years ago. Michael didn't know about it. It was humiliating, digging for cash like a fugitive in my own workshop. But it kept us alive. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and comment where you're watching from. It was early, but the war had just begun. Frank returned with Elena. She was shaking, clutching a manila folder to her chest. I got them, she said, handing me the folder. These are the consulting agreements. Brenda isn't just taking money. She's paying Vinny. I opened the file. Brenda was paying Vinny Moretti, a known loan shark, $50,000 a month. Gambling, Frank said, looking at the numbers. She's in deep. Tom, she owes the mob. That's why she's selling the company. She needs a lump sum to save her legs. It all made sense. The desperation, the cruelty. She was drowning, and she was using my life's work as a life raft. But we needed more. We needed to know exactly when the money would move. I called my niece Sarah. She was a forensic accountant and a coding genius. She had purple hair and a piercing in her eyebrow. But she had the sharpest mind in the family. Sarah, I'm locked out. Can you get in? I can try, Uncle Tom. But if they see me, they'll trace it back to you. Do it, I said. We watched the screen for 10 agonizing minutes. Attempt 1 failed. Attempt 2 failed. Then access granted. We got the emails. They proved Brenda was taking a personal consulting fee of $2 million for facilitating the sale. She was selling her husband out too. But then Sarah gasped. Uncle Tom, look at this. She pointed to a document titled Asset Liquidation, Phase 2. It was a demolition order. Look at the address, Sarah said, her voice shaking. It was the estate, my house. They're going to bulldoze it, I whispered. They're going to turn it into a parking lot for the new mall. The cruelty was absolute. They didn't just want me gone. They wanted to erase my existence. The garden where my wife's ashes were scattered, gone. They wanted to scrape me off the earth like dirt on a boot. I stood up, pacing the room. My chest felt tight, and then my leg gave out. I collapsed to the floor, knocking over a lamp. The pain was blinding. Tom, Frank yelled, rushing over. Don't call a doctor, I gasped, clutching his arm. If I go to the hospital, Michael will find me. He'll have me commit. I lay on the floor for an hour, sweating through my clothes, till the spasm passed. I was weak, but I wasn't broken. My phone buzzed again. It was Nurse Clara, my home health aide. Mr. Miller, she whispered. I shouldn't be calling, but I found something. What is it, Clara? I was cleaning Michael's study. I found a letter from your health insurance provider. Michael stopped paying the premiums 3 months ago. He's been pocketing the money. My blood ran cold. If you have a medical emergency, Clara said, crying, you have no coverage. You'd be bankrupt in a week. He canceled your policy, Mr. Miller. He wasn't just stealing. He was trying to kill me. Thank you, Clara, I said. Get out of that house. Don't go back. Now I knew there was no going back. No forgiveness. This was survival. On Friday, I risked going to the office parking lot. I needed to see Michael. I needed to look him in the eye one last time before I took him down. I waited in the shadows of Frank's truck. Michael came out at 8 p.m. He looked terrible, pale, sweaty, nervous. He wasn't alone. Vinnie Moretti was with him. Vinnie slapped Michael on the back, hard. Michael flinched. He looked terrified. Saturday, kid, Vinnie said loud enough for me to hear. Don't mess it up. Michael nodded. He wasn't just a traitor, he was a hostage to his wife's debts. Dad.
Michael had spotted me.
He froze. Hello, Michael. Where have you been? We've been worried sick. Have you, Dad, just come to the dinner tomorrow? Please. We need you there. It looks bad if you're not there. The investors asked about you. He didn't care about me. He cared about the optics. I'll be there, I said. I wouldn't miss it. Good, Michael said. And Dad, wear the tux. And try not to limp. It makes the investors nervous. He looked at his father and saw a broken prop. I'll see you there, son. If you're still caught up in the story, tap like before we move on. The storm is about to break. Saturday morning. The day of the signing, I sat in the hotel room with Frank, Sarah, and a tall, stone-faced man named Agent Reynolds from the FBI. Sarah had sent the evidence to the Bureau. The wire fraud crossed state lines, which made it federal. We have enough to arrest them now, Reynolds said. But if we want to get the OmniCorp executives too, the guys at the top, we need them to sign the contract. We need the conspiracy to be consummated. I understand, I said. We need a signal, Reynolds said. When the papers are signed, you give us the sign. What's the signal? Frank asked. I'll drop my cane, I said. When the cane hits the floor, you come in. I dressed in my tuxedo. It was the one I wore to accept the Businessman of the Year award 10 years ago. It hung a little loose on my frame now, but I pulled the shoulders back. I tied the bow tie with steady hands. I took a handful of painkillers. I didn't want to limp. Not tonight. The house was glowing with light when we arrived. The driveway was filled with luxury sedans. I recognized the cars of the Omni executives. I walked up the steps. I didn't ring the bell. I used my key. I stepped into the foyer. The sound of laughter and clinking glasses drifted from the dining room. I walked in. The scene was perfect. Crystal glasses, silver platters, expensive wine. Michael sat at the head of the table. Brenda was to his right, wearing a red dress that looked like blood. Opposite them sat 3 men in suits. The Omni representatives. And to the future, Michael was toasting. To the future, the men echoed. I hope the future includes a dishwasher, I said. The room went silent. They all turned. Brenda dropped her napkin. Michael froze, his glass halfway to his mouth. Dad? Michael whispered. Thomas, Brenda stood up, her face flushing red. What are you doing here? You look different. I look like myself, I said, walking to the table. I didn't limp. I moved with the slow, heavy momentum of a bulldozer. Gentlemen, I nodded to the Omni executives. I believe you are sitting in my chair. The lead executive, a shark named Mr. Sterling, smirked. Mr. Miller, we were told you were indisposed. Retired. I was told to wash dishes, I said, keeping my eyes on Brenda. She flinched. She looked at Michael, panicked. I pulled up a chair from the side of the room and sat at the foot of the table. So, I said, you're selling the company. It's a merger, Dad, Michael said quickly. A strategic partnership. Omni is going to help us expand globally. Is that what they told you? I asked. Or is that what Brenda told you? It's the truth, Michael said. Dad, please, don't ruin this. This is the biggest deal of my life. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a single piece of paper. It was a printout of the email showing Brenda's gambling debts to Vinnie Moretti. I placed it face down on the table. Michael, I said softly, I want to give you a chance. One chance. For what? To tell the truth. Right now. To me, to these men. I don't know what you're talking about, Michael said, looking nervously at Brenda. The company accounts, I said. The missing money? The loans you took out against the equipment. Did you do that for the business? Or did you do it because you were bleeding cash? Dad, stop, Michael hissed. Michael, I leaned forward. Look at me. I'm your father. I built this company with sweat and blood so you would have a legacy. If you are in trouble, tell me. If you made a mistake, tell me. We can fix a mistake, but we cannot fix a lie. The room was electric with tension. The Omni-men were exchanging glances. They sensed the deal was crumbling. Tell them the deal is off, Michael, I said. Tell them to leave. Come back to the office on Monday, and I will teach you how to run the business properly. We will pay back the debts together. It was a lifeline. I was offering to save him from prison. I was offering to forgive the betrayal. Michael looked at me. I saw the conflict in his eyes. He was a scared little boy again. Then he looked at Brenda. Brenda narrowed her eyes. She touched his arm, a subtle, controlling gesture. Michael straightened up. He hardened his face. You're confused, Dad, Michael said coldly. You're old. You don't understand modern business. This deal is happening, and frankly, you have no authority to stop it. He picked up the pen to sign the contract. I'm sorry you feel that way, Michael said, but maybe it's time you stayed out forever. My heart shattered. It was a physical pain, sharper than the hip. He had chosen the greed. He had chosen her. I see, I said. I stood up. You're right, Michael. I don't have the authority to stop you. Michael smirked. Brenda let out a breath of relief. But he does? I said. I let the cane drop from my hand. Clatter. The sound echoed through the silent room like a gunshot. The dining room doors burst open. FBI, put your hands on the table. Now. Agent Reynolds stormed in, followed by 4 armed agents and Frank. Chaos erupted. The Omni executives jumped up, knocking over their chairs. Brenda screamed. What is this? Michael shouted. You can't do this. Michael Miller, Brenda Miller, Reynolds announced, walking around the table. You are under arrest for securities fraud, embezzlement, and money laundering. Money laundering?
Money laundering?
Michael stammered. No, I was investing. We have the records, Michael, Frank said, stepping forward. We have the emails from Brenda to Vinnie Moretti. We have the logs of you stripping the employee pension fund. Michael turned to Brenda. Vinnie, the loan shark? You said he was an investor. Brenda didn't look at him. She was looking at the handcuffs the agent was pulling from his belt. Her face was a mask of terror. She played you, son, I said, my voice heavy with sadness. She was taking a cut from Omni to pay off her gambling debts. She was going to leave you the moment the check cleared. Michael looked at Brenda. Is that true? Brenda spat at him. You were always useless, Michael. If it weren't for me, you'd still be playing with toy trucks. You couldn't run a lemonade stand, let alone a corporation. The agents cuffed them. Brenda was screaming obscenities. Michael was weeping, his head hanging low. The Omni executives were also being cuffed. Conspiracy to commit fraud, Reynolds told them. I watched it all. I didn't feel triumph. I felt hollow. As they led Michael past me, he stopped. He looked at me with tear-filled eyes. Dad, he choked. Dad, help me, please. I didn't know. I looked at him. I wanted to reach out. I wanted to fix it. But I was an architect. I knew that if a beam is rotten, you can't paint over it. You have to remove it. I gave you a chance, Michael, I said softly. I asked you to tell the truth. You chose to sign the paper. Dad, he wailed as they dragged him out. I turned away. I couldn't watch him go into the car. An hour later, the house was quiet. The police were gone. The servants had fled. I stood in the kitchen. The sink was still full of dirty dishes from the morning. The catering staff hadn't touched them. I took off my tuxedo jacket. I rolled up my sleeves. My hip was throbbing, a dull, rhythmic ache. I turned on the warm water. I picked up a sponge. One by one, I washed the dishes. I washed the plates my son had eaten off. I washed the wine glasses they had used to toast my demise. It was meditative. It was simple work. A beginning. A clean slate. Thomas? Frank walked into the kitchen. He was holding 2 beers. You okay, boss? No, I said honestly. I just sent my son to prison. You saved the company, Frank said, and the house. I know, I said. I scrubbed a stubborn stain off a platter. But it feels empty, Frank. It won't be empty forever, Frank said. You'll rebuild. You always do. I looked at the clean plate in my hand. It sparkled under the kitchen light. She told me to wash the dishes, I whispered. She thought it was an insult. I placed the plate in the rack. But it's not, I said. It's taking care of things. It's cleaning up the mess. I turned off the water. I wiped my hands on a towel. Come on, Frank, I said, grabbing my cane. Let's drink those beers on the porch. I have a company to run on Monday. We walked out into the cool night air. The house was silent, but it was standing. The foundation was solid, and that was enough. Thanks for walking this journey with us. Tap like and let us feel you here. Subscribe for more stories of justice. This is Thomas, signing off.